Hello, my friends. My name is Jack Ducarda. Welcome to Sentinel Circle. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you. Alright, so the article I have for you today. Gen Z shockingly admits they don't know how to change a light bulb in startling new poll. Okay. I'm sure this will have a whole host of unintended consequences. Okay. So, well, they're not the brightest bulbs in the box, and their cluelessness comes at a high cost. The adult babies of Gen Z can cry about strict workplaces more and whine over their anxiety-inducing stress of making a phone call. But they can't even change a light bulb per new data on the youngsters' incapability. Wow, I can't say words today. Youngsters' incapacity to tackle everyday do-it-yourself duties. The ability to do basic practical tasks is being lost amongst younger generations, warned Andy Tuberfield of Halfords, a UK-based motoring and cycling retailer. Okay. I already don't like how antagonistic this article is. I don't like that because my immediate reaction is, well, who raised this generation? If that's what you want to call what this is going on right now. Raising. Which I would argue that this is not raising. This is something else entirely. Yamilis Diaz, a NYU Langan psychologist, tells the Post that their deficiencies are likely due to the digital age. They simply haven't really had to do things for themselves, says Diaz of Gen Z, real-world newbies ranging in age from 18 to 27. So much of their and all of our lives are automated, conveniented, and outsourced, which today's generation of young people have benefited from way more than past generations, she added. So it makes complete sense that Gen Z simply doesn't know how to do as much with regard to non-tech or independent tasks. And the proof is in their helpless pudding. Researchers from Halfords surveyed 2,000 grown-ups, including Zoomers, as well as millennials, guys and gals aged 28 to 44, Gen Xers, folks 45 to 60, and baby boomers, silver foxes over the age of 60, to determine each demographic's level of self-sufficiency. I am getting older because, I still think of boomers, anybody over the age of 45, and that's all Gen Xers now. Jesus. The investigators found that nearly 25% of Gen Zers have no idea how to change a light bulb in a ceiling lamp, which many claiming that climbing a ladder is too dangerous. 1 in 5 also worry that the bulb might be too hot. Climbing a ladder is too dangerous, and the bulb might be too hot. I hate this. Okay. So instead of risking their lives to complete the common DIY, the Zs would rather get others to do it, according to the report. Okay. The enlightening revelation comes as the latest layer to the top. The Gen Z is late. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm struggling to read this today. The enlightening revelation comes as the latest layer to the top. The Gen Z is lazy cake, a not-so-sweet campaign that has somewhat soured society's taste for the 20-somethings. But rather than acquiescing to the lazy stereotype, shade that Gen Z in NYC has staunchly rebuffed, the whippersnappers would instead prefer paying a service people major money Okay, sorry, that was a very weirdly worded sentence. They would prefer paying service people major money to handle their minor inconveniences. So basically, they're saying service people, they would rather pay those people to do whatever. Okay, fair. Analysis with Halfords found that Gen Zers on average spend over $1,500 per year. Good Lord. Hiring professionals to knock out basic household chores. Gen Xers only shell out approximately $470 for the extra help annually, while boomers drop about $300 on a little supplementary support. But based on Gen Z's reported lack of fundamental skills, their big payouts may be money well spent. In addition to not knowing how to change a light bulb, the majority of teams Zers aren't confident in their abilities to clean a car. In fact, a fraction of respondents said they rather have their parents do the dirty work for them. I'm going to hold that one for final thoughts because that's probably the antithesis of what's going on here. Less than half of the younglings don't know how to add air to the car tire, and even fewer know how to fit a windshield wiper blade. I'm going to hold on to that one. And a shocking 30% of the group could not identify a flathead screwdriver, while 21 couldn't recognize a wrench. 1 in 10 Gen Zers admit they call a pro to hang a picture on a wall too. Motoring knowledge in particular appears to be on the decline, says Tuberfield, in part with many reluctant to take on even the most basic tasks. However, to ensure that their got-do-it attitude doesn't get passed down to the uprising Gen Alphas, tots ranging from 1-year-olds to age 10, nor the newest kids on the block, Gen Betas, babies born in 2025 and beyond, Dia suggests parents being... oh, God. I'm sorry, I'm struggling today. I'm struggling to read this. Dia suggests parents begin being... Maybe that's supposed to be begin schooling, and it's saying being schooling. So that's probably a typo. That's probably why I'm struggling with this. Dia suggests parents begin schooling their broods now. Here are Diaz's tips for raising capable kiddos. We got to have an expert tell us how to raise kids. Assign chores. Okay. Encourage them to use their hands. Sure. And let them be your helpers. Okay. All right. We're done with that. Jesus criminy. All right. Final thoughts. That was a very insightful article. But it's not new. It really isn't new. That's the one thing I will say that I've noticed in covering stuff for this channel is every article we cover is not new. My father is on the rear end of the baby boomer generation. He was born in 1960. He had me when he was 29, 30. So he was an older man when he had me. And of course, I'm the oldest of my siblings. When I was growing up, I lived with my mother initially, and due to her health, I moved in with my father when I was about the age of 10. And I recently reminisced with a friend who just lost his mother about illness like that. This isn't a movie. This isn't a video about cancer, but cancer does suck. Anyways, back to my initial thoughts. My father gave me a serious ribbing about not knowing what a wrench was, not knowing what certain tools were, but he never taught me what tools were. He just said, go get me this, and then when I struggled to find it, he'd get mad at me for not knowing where the tool was, not knowing what the tool was, and not being timely in tool retrieval. And I remember always feeling like a failure because I didn't know these things. But I mean, this was obviously before internet, because I didn't have internet in my house until my mother had basic dial-up when I was younger, and I remember that distinctly. But my father didn't have internet until I either just graduated or I was about to graduate high school. I can't quite remember, but that's how that's how long ago that was. No, it would have had to have been when we moved from my senior year of high school, because I had to use the internet for class. So yeah, it would have been senior year of high school is when I started getting the internet. And then of course I moved out and had to pay for my own internet. But I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I've always been a go-getter. I've always wanted to go out and be productive, and I'm a very driven individual, and I know not everybody's like that. Unfortunately, a lot of people have to be handed the knowledge, because finding knowledge is a skill in itself that a lot of people don't possess. And I think that's really what it boils down to, is a lot of parents, boomers and Gen Xers, probably treated their children like that. And because of that, they never... What do we want to say? They never wanted to learn. In fact, there's that commercial. It's the two kids. The car has a flat tire, and the one kid's on the phone with the parent trying to change out the tire, and he's like, of course I know what a lug nut wrench is, Dad. And then he asks his friend, what's a lug nut wrench? And I think what it boils down to is there's for some reason we shame those for not knowing. I'm gonna stop the recording here. Hang on. Okay, folks, I'm sorry. This is literally my 6th time trying to record this portion of the video. They're doing yard work outside. They got the leaf blower out there. It's driving me nuts. I had to close the window, so I got no fresh air now. And I'm going to be sweating like a pig because I got no fresh air in this room. So let's just try and get through the rest of this final thoughts portion. Okay. The problem with Gen Z and Gen Alpha not knowing how to do basic things, what we call basic things like changing a light bulb, changing oil, all that stuff, is because it's a multifaceted problem. And every article I bring you, every article, every video, all that stuff, they're symptoms to a larger problem. They're not itself a problem. The problem that we're running into is multifaceted. It's complex. The solution is going to be multifaceted and complex. And anybody who sits there and says, well, the problem is simple, or you do this, this, and this, or the solution is simple, you do this, they are ignorant. That's really what it boils down to, is they are ignorant. And I'm not saying this to make myself seem important or to make myself seem smarter than the average bear. It's because if the problem was simple to identify and the solution was simple, then why haven't we done it? No, it's not simple. Okay? The problem is, though, at least in this case, is adults don't want to teach their children. Specifically, a lot of kids these days, and a lot of Gen Z probably, did not have male role models in the household. Okay? And because of that lack of masculine role model, because men take care of the house, men take care of the cars, men take care of all that stuff. That's why they don't have that knowledge. Like I was saying earlier, my father would chastise me for not knowing this, that, and the other, but he never taught me. And I would argue that my father is not a good male role model. He's not really the ideal image of what a man is. But that's because my father was raised by a single mother. And my father was such a bad apple that he was actually kicked out of the house when he was young. He was homeless, and he dropped out of high school, didn't have a high school diploma. He actually went back to get his high school diploma at the age of 22. He didn't get his GED. He went back to high school. And that's kind of the issue here is, even if you have a man in your life, he may not be a good male role model. And we just did a video on mentorship and male role models and all that stuff. And I think that's really what it boils down to, is being a role model is apparently it's a skill that you have to learn and develop over time. It's not just something that you're naturally apt to. And I will say that in my life, the people that have tried to teach me, a lot of them are not good teachers. I think that, like, at least with the kids, okay, we'll take the kids for example. The article referenced them not wanting to get on a ladder because it's dangerous. Well, to be fair, getting up on a ladder is dangerous, especially with some of these light fixtures. And if there's no confidence there, I can't blame them for not wanting to get on a ladder. Like, getting on a ladder for me is scary as is too. You know, because if I fall and I hurt myself, well, I'm the primary breadwinner of my family. We would be screwed horribly. So I can't blame anyone for feeling this way. I can't blame Gen Z for not wanting to change a light bulb. Where I can blame Gen Z is them not being curious enough to learn how to do it. That's where I would blame Gen Z. And I guess that's really what it boils down to, is we've seen time and time again that even if you have the world's knowledge at your fingertips, that doesn't actively make you go seek it out. You know, everyone, when the internet was first coming around, everyone was saying that, oh, it's going to be different now. Everybody's got knowledge of the world at their fingertips, and people are going to get smarter and all that stuff. And look at how well that's worked out for us. I don't think that that's what it boils down to. I think people are so afraid to get out of their comfort zone that they can't handle challenge. If that's the case, then everybody would be a Navy SEAL, and we've shown time and time again that that's not the case. There's a limit to what people can handle, and I think a lot of people they want to live a very specific way. They don't want to change, and that's how they live their lives. That's why we see shows like Hoarders and My 600-Pound Life and all these different shows, and all the people are there so wrapped up in their ways and mental illness that they can't get out of it. It takes retraining that person to get out of it. So the question is, well, what is the solution? There is no solution. That's really what it boils down to. If you want to make a change in your local neighborhood, well, obviously, go teach, a young person how to change oil, how to change a tire, how to go change a light bulb. Teach them that. Hey, there's even stories about how the current generation, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're quote unquote tech savvy, but they don't know how to set up a router. They don't know how to use a mouse and a keyboard. They don't know how to use a lot of the stuff that is essential for office work. You know, and I will say that, like, I've seen at certain retail stores that they got Palm Pilots now and all that stuff, but beyond that, you know, they still have offices with keyboards and mouses and all that stuff. How long before that's a lost art? You know, I mean, my handwriting I know is atrocious, and I'm seeing more and more young people have issues with handwriting because it's just not emphasized anymore. But the problem is typing is also not emphasized as well. I mean, I remember taking a typing class, typing for computers and not a typewriter, but I know I could run a typewriter if I absolutely had to. So I think we're expecting certain things, but we're not offering. If we had to identify the problem, I think that's really what the problem is no one's willing to teach these days. But there's an expectation to know. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I personally don't think it's right. I think that you can't expect someone to know something until you teach it to them. You know, and to get mad at someone for not knowing is kind of like forgive the sane, but being mad at a handicapped person because they're handicapped. Like that's immoral in a way. Anyways, I because of the lawn care, I don't know how long I've been going, so I'm gonna end it there. It's probably an incoherent mess. I don't want to record this again because it's getting late into the day, and I gotta get going with my life. Anyways, I appreciate all you being here. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. My name is Jack Descartes, and this is Sentinel Circle. If you enjoy my videos, please like, subscribe, comments. I read all the comments. I reply to all the comments. You may get your comment posted on the video if you so desire. If you don't, email me. All those will remain anonymous. Send me stories. Send me whatever you want. Videos, stories, articles, rage bait, feel good, whatever. Doesn't matter. I take everything, I respect everyone, and I take everyone as they are. We'll all get through this one day. Anyways, have a good day. Thank you very much for being here. Bye-bye.